As you praise God today, watch Him fight your battles.
He is looking for leadership that will not exchange perks for presents.
People expect you to give up, but something keeps moving. Telling you, there's more.
Yes, Lord.
Hello there. The Daughters of Zion started something so powerful recently called the DOZ Mtaani. And this is what we do. We go to a city, a town, and we go and clean it up. And as we clean it up, we also minister to the people and they get saved. We have seen many, many of them give their lives to Jesus as we just clean up and love on them. And as if that's not enough, Paz at Holiday Inn partner with us and they bring these amazing, sumptuous ribs together with chips. Can you imagine? And we feed it to the people. So not only do we feed them spiritually, but also physically. And it's a beautiful, beautiful move that God is using us in this area of just seeing people saved, healed, delivered, and set free. And this time we are going to Kiambu town. We're going to Kiambu town. And you know what? We shall be meeting at 12 p.m. at the Kiambu police station on the 21st of October. If you're available, come. Let's go win souls. Let's go enjoy. The last one, I had so much fun. We saw 33 souls come to Jesus, and it was just amazing, incredible. So you're welcome to come join us.
Don't let what you've done hinder you. Don't you let where you've been hinder you. Don't let what they've said hinder you. Don't you let your past hinder you. You're a woman without limits. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. A woman without limits. Yes, you are. There's nothing the enemy can do to stop what God has for you. There's nothing the enemy can do to stop what God has for you. You're a woman without limits. Woman, 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 woman without limits. Na 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 na. Woman without limits.
Good evening, viewers. You are welcome to Woman Without Limits. Would you welcome them, please? It's so wonderful, wonderful to have you tuned in tonight. I believe you're in for a great and awesome time. Today, the guest is exciting me because she happens to be a spiritual daughter of mine, that we've come such a mighty long way together, and I just want you to hear her story. She's an amazing woman of God right now. She's doing great and mighty things for God, and I want you to know where she started from. Would you please welcome with me Pastor Joan Kamau? Hi, sweetheart. How are you?
Very good. It's good to be here.
It's so good to have you. I'm excited at who is coming.
It's really nice to be here. Hi,
You know?
everyone.
You're good, eh?
Very good,
You
Mom.
look nice.
Thank you.
Do you know there are very few people that sari suit, especially this color, you know?
I enjoy them.
Very few, but they suit you so seriously.
Thank you, Mom.
Like, were you maybe you were supposed to be an Indian?
We can investigate.
because they really do suit you. So you're good?
Very good.
And how is your family?
My family is blessed.
Uh-huh.
It's really nice to be here. They sent me with love, especially my husband, your
Yes,
son.
yes.
So it's really, really wonderful to be here.
Amen. So now, Pastor Joan, you've become such a force to reckon with.
Glory to God.
I mean, people love you and the way you dissect the word and the way you are so eloquent. We want to know first and foremost who Pastor Joan is, because see, we can see the glory. Give us the story.
Well, first and foremost, I want to say thank you, even for raising me up in ministry. One thing that people don't understand is when you see somebody, they are not just coming from nowhere. They've really, a lot of people have put in a lot of work just for that person to shine. That shoulder to lean on, that heart to listen, that rebuke that you really needed, that if you didn't get it, you'd have gone off the bend. So I'm a product of a lot of love and a lot of investment over the years. I come from a huge family, because mostly when I ask people, they say, well, we are 2, and I'm like, oh, really? Well, am I now going to say how many we are? Maybe I shouldn't have asked how many they were, because when you grow in a big family, you think everybody grows up in a big family. I come from a family of 13 children.
13.
13 children.
From one mother.
One father, one mother. There were no assistant parents. One father, one mother, they did bad all by themselves.
And a whole football team. You know, that's a whole...
And a sub.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, so we could go to any match and we could take on any force.
Right.
And we were very close-knit. We still are. Big family, happy family. And I thank God I happen to be the 8th born. So I'm the ham. The rest are just bread.
Yeah.
I'm right in the middle there, you know.
You're the ham between.
I'm the ham, and
right.
having a good relationship with both my parents and my brothers and sisters. So that's a bit about my background. And then growing up, what maybe caught me off guard, I never expected that I would be a pastor. Not in the least bit. It was the farthest thing from my mind. But God works in his own ways, and he began to call me. So because I didn't come from a traditionally religious family, that in terms of ministry, in terms of being a pastor, we went to church, yes, but not in that way. So it was a very difficult thing for them to understand, what is this you're talking about? Ministry, we know it's something to do with government. So when you're talking about ministry, what exactly do you mean? So that's a bit of a background. I got married pretty young.
I think you're taking us too fast. Because we first need to understand that there are 13 children. You're rushing.
So I should go slowly,
You go
slowly.
slowly.
So
Hurry
what
up,
do you want to
slowly.
know
You
about
know,
these 13 children?
13 children. Now, how was eating time? How did you, was there fighting? Isn't
thank
it? 13
you.
are many. We want to know, I mean, and you are the 8th.
I was the 8th.
Meaning there was a whole battalion before
Okay,
you.
by the time I was born,
Right.
I thought the firstborn, secondborn, they were aunties. I had no idea. It took me a long while to understand, okay, these are like actually sisters. They are not aunties because of the age gap.
Right.
Another thing is I got to know hot pots from other people's houses. What are those? We did serving from the sufuria. Yeah, you cook and then you serve. These are 13 people plus
Yes.
2 parents. So there's nothing like putting, what are hot pots? You just serve direct from the sufuria that you've cooked in. And then you show evidence that it's finished. So that, please, I hear people saying there were second starts. What are those? You just, what is lands on your plate, enjoy it with Thanksgiving. And it's very good to be very vocal and visible during meal times. I had a brother who was always preoccupied and lost in the room when people are serving. So he would emerge when people have already served and they're like, really? We have finished this business of serving because we knew you're not in the house. Because if you're in the house, you should show yourself friendly so that you can get your portion.
Right.
But we never lacked. We never lacked. We were many. And one thing I must commend my parents. We grew up being told we were wanted. That I grew up being told. It was the refrain in our ears. You were all wanted. There was no oops baby. There was no mistake baby. No, there was no. Actually, my mom gave birth to 14, but one died in infancy. They were twins. So my brother's twin died in about after a week. So she actually delivered 14 children. And growing up, we were always told, you are all wanted.
You were not a mistake.
None of you was a mistake. You are all wanted. Maybe because in their days, people had very big families, but they only happened to be 3 each. My mom's family, there were 3. She was the last born. My dad's family, there were 3. He was the last one. So I think they really were like, when we get married, we want children and children, and they really kept their promise. You know? So we were many.
They did 3 times, almost 5.
I'm telling you, we were many, but we had a very warm family. Another thing is, I remember my father was very keen on education, and he did not understand the purpose of TV. He did not understand.
Wow.
So there was no TV growing up. We were one another's TV, one another's entertainment. So you looked forward to the evening because now stories are going to come. And let me tell you, I learned from a very young age how to stand in front. Now that's a crowd. Cynthia, when you're 15, that's a crowd. To stand in front of a crowd and say your thing and entertain. And then we would drop the script at that moment. You just be told, okay, you and you and you, walk out and then you come back and act this. You better deliver because now you are the TV for the evening at that particular moment. So that's how we grew. We were close. About fighting, of course, we fought. But you see, the benefit of having many children, you don't have to insist on your sister to make up. If she's having an attitude, you can let her
in this
be
place.
Okay.
Yeah.
By the time you meet again, you even don't know what you are fighting about. Because you've done the rounds. Okay, now we are friends. Were we fighting? I can't remember. I've met so many people in this house. I can't remember if we were fighting. So I had a happy childhood.
Yeah.
I was very close with my brother. In my age bracket, I was in an age bracket with 4 of my brothers. So I grew up as a proper tomboy.
Wow.
Proper tomboy. I'm going to tell you a secret, but you must not tell others.
Okay.
It's just for you.
We won't tell. The TV has gone blurry.
Now, because I was having this, my 4 brothers were very close. What I knew was climbing trees, fishing for tadpoles, chasing frogs. Those are the things we were doing because the age group I was born in, it's 4 guys and now me.
Yeah.
So I did not understand why to do your hair has to be held in pigtails, to do your dress. Those ones I was always in shorts. So all those injuries on the knees, I have all of them. Falling from trees, I know that experience. And fighting. Fighting. No, we have to fight because now you are in the boys' club.
Yes.
You have to act accordingly. So this thing of crying, that one is a strange species called girls. They cry when
we don't cry.
We don't cry as we are boys.
Yeah.
So when I went to school, I would spell my name as Joan. John, because that is boy. So my mother had to be called to school to explain. Please explain to her that she has an A. It was a very serious situation. I got the hang of it, but not before arguing a lot. I kept short hair so that when my brothers are washing their hair in the morning at the sink, I'm also there. So you could always count 5 bodies. So that as they are washing, we are passing the soap and we are all washing and all combing. I grew up that way. But I had a very, very happy childhood. Both my parents were present. My mother was a loving, gentle, ever-present, constant presence in our lives. If my mother was not in the house, amazing, amazing woman. I always tell my children, if I can be quarter to you, what my mother was to me, you'll be fine. I don't even have to be half. Wow. If I just manage to be quarter, you will be okay. If my mother wasn't in the house, it's because she was in the hospital bringing another child to us. She was that constant. She lived for her family. She was there. And she was a teacher for 30 years.
Wow.
She was a teacher for 30 years in a public school.
Right.
She actually taught in a school in Kangware for very many years. And she's remembered even today by many of her students. So I remember my mother being there. and having a very big heart. We all knew our place in her heart. There was no one time that you felt, I have to occupy Swans. She was there. She was a woman of wisdom. She would listen. When you wanted to talk, she would listen, and then she would just say 1 or 2 words, and you were sorted. But she would hear you out, listen to the problem, and then now talk to you. So that's the kind of a home that I grew up in. And by the time I came along, being number 8, the parents have more or less raised the elder ones. So there was this unwritten rule that the younger ones were raised by the elder ones in terms of accountability. So we didn't have a situation where you could be, run out of school. It was not spoken or discussed, but you knew it wouldn't be tolerated. And your parents would not have to discuss it. When I went home, many times I gave my report form to my older siblings. And I had to explain if I did not do well.
To them?
Of course. You didn't go partying. There was oversight. There was oversight. My parents didn't have to monitor where I was because I have older siblings who are like, you can't. You are still in school, so we are going out, but you can't. So I don't remember much of my parents being on my face. No, because you just knew these older siblings are watching over you and you are accountable to them and you better do what is expected. If your grades fall, you're going to have to explain to them. But it was in a very loving kind of a way.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't discussed. It was just understood. This is how things are done. Yeah. Yeah, this is how things are
Would
done.
they discipline?
Not
if need be?
No, they wouldn't discipline.
Just their
They
speech
wouldn't
itself.
discipline, and there was no bullying. Discipline was left to the parents. If there was need to discipline, my parents would discipline. But I think it was very good, that thing of knowing, even if dad and mom are not there, I don't know if other homes had this thing. We had pictures of our parents hanging in the living room. And you know how pictures follow you with eyes? I don't know how it happens, but they follow you. So they would really make us believe
They are
that
watching.
they are watching and they are seeing everything you are doing. So the picture plus the elder brothers and sisters, we just went in the street.
You
and
stayed in
narrow.
the street and narrow.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. But there was
How
no
was your
bullying.
dad? You've spoken a lot about your mom and
Yes.
how she was.
My dad, I have fond memories of my father. Another time when I was here, I talked about my dad. My dad never, ever disciplined us, even once. It was my mother's role. And my mother...
Never did?
And my mother,
Wow.
being a teacher, she did not understand. She was a math teacher. And I dropped maths in standard 2. So she did not understand why you would fail. I learned the time.
And you dropped it in standard 2?
Yes. Couldn't understand these things. So I dropped it in standard 2 and I was like, "Oh, please, whatever." So my mom taught us the times table. And she was very good at knitting. So she would take her knitting needles and then she would sit down and then call us one by one. And you'd stand beside her, she's knitting, and then she would, depending on your age, she would tell you, timetable of 3. You better not miss a heartbeat. You better rattle those numbers like you're being paid on the spot. Because, and we knew if you're older, she'll give you maybe times table of 12 or such. That's how she did it. And that was the only time when she really got upset. She would now pinch us if you don't know your math. As for my dad, he was a very wonderful man, a present father, very keen on education. He saw to it that we not only went to school, but we went to the best schools, even if we were that many. If you showed my father you were interested in education, he would turn the whole earth to make sure that you went to school.
Wow.
You will go to school. And he believed you must go at least until Form 4. Then after that, if you want to further your education, he'll get you a good job, then you can really, so because I have all these other kids to go by. My dad was a reader. He didn't believe in TV, but he believed in books. I grew up on Reader's Digest. Those are the books that littered our house. He was very eloquent, very well spoken.
Hello, pot.
I'm telling he was very, very well spoken.
Like, that's you.
Yeah, that's, I mean,
Yeah.
he would correct us if we said funny things. Like, for example, I remember he really could not understand how you can say, I have cooked tea. He would tell you, you don't cook tea, because that means you have to put ingredients like tomatoes and stuff. You make tea. So we grew up with him there. That was how he spoke. My father was never late anywhere. All the years I knew him, he would not be late. Lateness was not something that he could even fathom or understand. You have to be on time. I remember on my wedding day, they were running late to come and pick me, and my father threatened to go to the venue. So I told him, you can't go to the venue before the bride. People will think you want to get rid of me. So he was like, no, but I can't be late. So I told him, compromise for once. Yeah. Be late for now, because he really did not understand lateness. He was also very strict in things of order and time. And besides that, he was a loving dad. The only challenge maybe would come when he would occasionally drink maybe one too many, and then come in the evening, and then there would be a situation of now the peace and the calm is disrupted because of that. But when he did not drink, my father was just a wonderful dad. He did not go to church, apart from Christmas, and when you're being maybe confirmed, those religious activities. But he made sure and saw to it that we went to church. It was not negotiable.
Really?
If you lived in his house, you went to church with mom. You are not going to stay in the house. It's Sunday. Go to church. Another thing I remember about my dad, every Sunday when we came from church, he personally clipped our nails. He personally did it.
Are you serious right now?
By one. He tied it up. He always told us this long nail. So he would cut one by one, very carefully. He would...
All 13?
All of us. He would find him sitting outside. He's finished reading his newspaper, and he would cut our nails. Every one of us, and you would see now you are very neat and okay.
Wow.
And next, then you come and he clips, it comes a place you just say next. The numbers are many. Yeah. So you just come, you understand that you as clipped, you must be the next one. Go and be clipped. So that was how he was. He also loved poultry. All my life we grew up, there were chickens and hens. So he loved farming. Even when he retired to a farm. So I can say that my mom died shortly after I got married. 2001. I got married in 2000. And we had my dad with us for a good 9-10 years after that, before he also passed away. And we buried a friend. By the time we were burying my dad, because also men of that era, you would not call them very expressive. He's busy building the home. So now the person you interact with is your mom all the time, the person that you go to. And when maybe a father is occasionally harsh, as a child, you register that as permanent harshness. You think, maybe I shouldn't approach him. So you want to always go through your mom. So when my mom left, now we had this one parent to get to really know.
How was your mom's leaving? How?
Very, very devastating. She was the pillar of the home. She was the warmth of the home. She was the life of the home. It was very, very, very devastating, very difficult for us as a family. I remember to the extent, there was a particular seat that she used to love to sit, and it was too painful to go home and find that seat empty, because she would sit there when she was home. And for about a year after her death, it was just difficult to get anyone to go, because to swallow that going there, because home is mom. She's always been there from the day I was born till the day she died. We are the ones who left to get married, get jobs. But home, when you think of home, she's always there. Even if my father traveled extensively from his work, sometimes he was out of the country, you knew that mom is at home. So that was very, very painful. We didn't want to accept it because she didn't die very old. So we felt...
She was in her 60s, right?
About 57.
57?
55, 57, yeah.
She was in her 50s.
Yeah. So when your parent has been so good to you, and now you're coming into your own, you want to revenge. You're like, you just stay there. I'm going to spoil you. We want to do this and we want to do this. And then she's not there. So that anticlimactic kind of a situation, it was very disappointing, very heartbreaking, very, very painful. But God is good. We've healed. And then we celebrate her memory. We always laugh and say, if mom was here, she definitely would not approve this, or she would love this, or she would want this. So that's how we began to. And I always tell people, don't take your parents for granted. When they are there, and it doesn't matter who or what, visit them, love on them, take shopping. Don't tell me you're not on talking terms, because mom, the worst thing that can happen is for a parent to die
And you are not
and
talking.
you're not on talking terms.
Right.
You never recover.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what or what, that's your parent. Even if they don't want to see you, things are not okay, they will not refuse M-Pesa. Send the M-Pesa. Even if they don't reply the text, send the text.
Right.
Even if they don't pick the phone, pick your phone and let there be a million missed calls that they don't respond to. Even if they don't want you to have access, there's somebody, there's an Uber that can take shopping.
Right. Yeah.
Take
Amen.
shopping.
Yeah. Amen.
Yeah?
Amen.
Because you know what? You grow. And those petty issues that you think are mountains now, you realize that you grow, you become a parent yourself, then you begin to understand, I could easily have forgiven my father that.
Yeah.
Maybe he drank one too many because there's a house, it's full of 13 screaming, yelling, loud
Boys
children who
and
stop
girls.
talking when they go to bed.
Yeah.
So sometimes he had to go and talk to the silent bottle that would not answer back and come back later.
Yeah.
So I always tell people, it is a very painful thing to stand over the grave of a parent that you were not in good terms. It will take the hand of God for you to recover.
Right.
So spoil your parents. Spoil them. So for us, it was very painful that now we
Your
have
mom.
jobs, we have a little bit of money coming in.
That you can
We
spoil her.
now we are planning, we're going to take you on holiday, we're going to spoil you, then you just leave. So that really compounded our grief at that particular moment. Yeah, yeah.
Daughters of Zion, how are you? I'm inviting you for the 28th meeting. It's going to be here at JCC Parklands, right opposite Premier Academy on Forest Road. I want you to know that it's free for every woman. I want you to invite them from the highways and the byways so that they can come and get transformed. There is no daughter of Zion that comes and remains the same again. You're welcome to come join us. Join the champions. And then now you took a year before going home.
Well, I was married. Remember, I just
Right.
got married a year, okay? But there were others who were not married. But it was difficult and had nothing per se to do with that. It was just
your mom's not there.
it
and
was
you're
just that I don't understand. It's like reliving the thing. If I go there and not find her, I'll have to relive. And I remember at some point talking to some of my siblings, and we got together and said, you know what? We have to get a grip. Life does have to go on, and we do have one parent who we need to visit, and we need to. We don't.
And you can imagine even his pain.
Yes,
Yeah.
his pain. I mean, they've been married for so many years. So now we started picking up from there. Now, if I can backtrack a little bit, when I got born again, the Lord began dealing with me about my relationship with my father. Okay, because all along you've related through your mom and everything, just giving him his space. And now I get born again, and God is like your father. And I began, even before my mom passed away, to have a very wonderful relationship with my father from a position of, I am born again. The Bible says, honor your father and mother. So when he would come, I would wait for him. I would wait for him. So when he would come in, I would open the door. Mom is there still, but now it's like I'm having a private training with the Holy Ghost of how this thing should go. And I just began interacting with my father, and we became very, very close to the point that my dad would even call me. I would call him. He would say, I love you on the phone. We became very, very close. And one time I remember my sibling saying, if you ask dad anything, he'll give you. And for sure, he would give it to me.
Wow.
Because of that journey. I'm trying to say there's an impact when Jesus comes into your life.
Yeah.
Maybe in the family, things have not been very okay. Maybe there's a favorite parent, the approachable parent. But when Jesus comes in your life, now you become a channel to bring healing and show, let me bridge
The way.
Let me bridge the gap.
Right.
Let me try to understand. And guess what? My dad did not have, his father left very early. So he grew up with his grandmother and his mother. And because there was no father figure, the mother had to be the father and the mother, meaning she had to work. So my father interpreted from a very young age, love to be work. If you love your kids, you work for them.
Oh.
That is why he was a very hard worker. Work, and his work ethic was through the roof. It was up there. Because he knew he had to work. So if you're a child and you don't understand that, you think that he's absent. But he thinks, I'm loving you.
Because
I'm
I'm
working.
And
So
that's all I know.
Yes, and when I work, you go to schools,
Yeah.
all the good schools, and put you through school.
You know, it's amazing you'd say that. The other day I was interviewing Johnny McClarkin, and you know what he said? He said they would ask, as little kids, they would ask the father, Daddy, do you love us? And the dad's answer would be, do you eat?
Exactly, exactly. Yeah.
Do you love us? Do you live in a house? You know?
Yeah, that's what
So-
he feels. So in that generation, so to him, I love you. And my love for you makes me
working
wake
for
up
you.
and go. I don't interpret love as being here, dandling you on my knees,
And touching
running,
Yeah.
Sidri playing football. I don't understand that to be love. So when the Lord began to teach me and say, look, he's as loving as he knows to be. So if you want a different kind of love, you start showing him the love you want. He will have to learn it from you. So I'll pour it in you. You demonstrate to him, he learns from you, then it can come back. You have to invest to him. But as far as he knows, he can even be heartbroken to imagine that you don't think you're loved. He would not know how to handle that because, I mean,
According to him,
according to me,
you should see.
it should be obvious.
Yeah.
You should just deduce and see this means love.
Yeah.
So sometimes as children, we judge our parents so harshly without bothering to find out
And
what
that's all
went
they
into the
know.
making of him being the way he is. Or my mom being the way she is.
Yeah.
You understand?
Right.
So-
I remember actually, like that age gap when they would always say, you know, like, this is what I saw my mother do.
Exactly.
I'm doing to you what I saw my mother do.
I don't know any
I don't have
different
any other
reference
memo.
point.
There's no
Yeah,
other memo.
yeah.
This is all I know.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's it for my
For your
childhood,
parents and
my
your
parents.
childhood,
When
yeah.
I sit down within myself and think, I had a good childhood. I had a good childhood.
Amen.
I wasn't a lonely child. I mean, we are 13.
Yes.
It can be a bit
You
hard.
better not be lonely.
You must be having a problem if you can't get a friend in this big bunch. You know, I
Right.
always had someone to play with. But also, being a big family, you have to learn to assert yourself. That's the flip side. Otherwise, you just blend in.
You'll be just
You blend in. You have to learn how to assert yourself. You have to learn how to form your
to
opinions.
say I'm here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And stand on your convictions. Otherwise, and learning that early helped me now when time to go into ministry to say, I know it's difficult for you to understand and I can't explain it, but this is what God wants me to do right now. And I have to stand by that. So
Why is it that you, as a young girl, never wanted to get married? Because according to your
Yes,
story,
yes.
is that by the time your husband was coming to you, you're wondering, okay, which way did you lose?
Thank you. Thank you
Eh.
for bringing that up. Like I've said, when you are a child and things happen and you don't have someone to contextualize why this thing is happening, the main reason I did not want, in fact, I was so set against marriage, it was psychological. That when someone even mentioned marriage, I saw black. Like, I knew marriage is not the place. By the time I'm 8th born, and now at that particular moment I'm growing, when my father came and he had drunk, I'm little, I'm about 3, 4, 5. From my small height, what I'm seeing is trauma. Maybe a grown-up can understand this is a scuffle between but to me, as a child, mom is the one I understand stays home with us. Mom listens to me. Mom cares for me. So if mom is under threat, my world is under threat. If she's challenged or she's yelled at or she's hit, maybe my whole world is ending. So I get to identify anyone who's threatening mom as enemy. So from a young age, when maybe my father would come home, he's had one or two in his drunk, because from my age, I am seeing it way out of proportion. But you see, the devil doesn't play fair. It lodged in my mind, and I understood from those episodes that marriage is not a good place to be. Marriage is a very dangerous place, because when you get married, bad things can happen to you. But now, like I say, in retrospect, growing, probably if it would happen now,
when you are
you
mature,
can be able to say, okay, those are their stories,
put two
and
and
they'll
two
be
together.
fine because they were fine. They never ever divorced. They never left each other. You would find them sitting down laughing. But to me, at that age, I'm like, something very bad, something very serious has happened. And I made a vow, I'll never put myself in that kind of a position where somebody can come late when people have already gone to bed, and then we all have to wake up to be safe. We have to be. Let's wake up and let's watch. Watch yourself very well, because
anything can happen.
Now it came from that. I was like, you know what? And I started singing it from a very young age. I would even go as far as telling my mom, thank God you have 13 children, because this one is not getting married, this one is not bringing children, this one is not. And guess what? Words are powerful. My mother died before ever seeing my children. Yes. Before ever meeting them. And you know, she is the one person I would have wanted my children to meet, to know, and be loved by. So I would grow up, there was that thing, it lodged in my mind. If you get married, you are a woman, you are under authority, you are on the receiving end, and that's why I really appreciate the way you teach about submission. Maybe many women who resist submission, it's because of what they have seen. Maybe they see submission being abused or misused, and they're like, ain't nobody got time for it. I don't want to get myself into that kind of a situation. So that's where it came from. Because I know for a fact that when my elder siblings were younger, my father didn't drink. So it started somewhere, and maybe a psychologist, if he had had an opportunity, would be able to understand what. But I didn't have the facts. All I knew is I'm tiny. The person who takes care of me
is mommy.
And they're fighting. And mommy is not as strong as daddy. So something might happen to mommy, and then what?
Then I'm done.
I'm done.
It's over.
So I knew I will never be in that kind of a position. And that is why, even when I was coming to get married, now the family was in shock.
And you were telling, when you were walking around with your friends, you were telling people you are a surrogate mom.
Yes. You know, I was so determined. So I knew if you tell people this kind of thing, I would tell even my friends. My friends, to tell them, just tell these people to be safe. They should not ask me this kind of questions. Let's talk weather, other things. But I am not ready to relate. So when people would ask me, so what do you do? I wasn't saved, so no judgment. So I would just tell them I'm a surrogate mother. And then they would all leave. Nobody would hang around to hear anything else.
Surrogate mother, no,
yes,
it's so fine.
That is all I do. And they're like, you're a what? I say, yeah. Those people who can't, I help them. So they would leave me alone. But all that, because I was so actually determined, and maybe it's something we can say to parents. You're grown-ups, they're children.
Yes.
They are watching.
Yeah.
They cannot understand what's going on.
Right.
They only know safe or unsafe.
I mean, my husband was 8 years old. 8 years old when he told the mother, let's kill dad. 8 years old. Because of that fight, he saw it, this is too much for an 8-year-old. And he said, let's kill him. And then we ran away to Nakuru.
You see, that was the place he knew.
He had
in
Nakuru.
his mind, Nakuru was safe.
Yeah.
If we go, you've heard stories of children in abusive homes watching the TV and saying, Mom, can we go there? Because those people seem so happy, the people in the TV. They seem so fun, they seem so safe from this terror. So it's important, the atmosphere, and women need to know this. As a girl is growing up, she understands from you how a marriage should be and what she should expect. So now from the scenario, I understood you don't expect good things in marriage.
Only war.
Only war, because I was young. The other ones are older, so they are now even engaging dad. They are talking, so they know he's a human being. They know he's okay and they can. But at that young age, that's where the damage happened. And for me, I settled it. I couldn't, of course, express it then, but it took root. And took root so much so that I was ready to be single for the rest of my life.
Fast forward now, here comes your husband.
Yes. So he comes and I'm thinking, oh my God, don't you understand? Me, in fact, very many people didn't even know my name. They all called me Wajesu.
What?
They had no, if you ask them what's her name, they said, me, I don't know, me, I found her being called Wajesu. That's how I know that's her name. No, she must have another name.
They would call you Wajesu.
I don't know her name. Because I had really sold that brand.
Wajesu.
Everybody should understand.
Yes.
You see, the people are called Wakimu or Wafita. Me, I was Wajesu. So, in other words, I'm gone. That ship has sailed and it's not going to happen. So he shows up and I go to talk to God with a lot of tears, like we had a deal. When I got born again, I didn't ask God for anything. I only told him one thing. Make sure you don't bring up the issue of marriage. That was the only ultimatum I had.
I will serve you.
I will even wear buibui, go Sahara and preach, if that's what you want. But let's never discuss the issue of marriage. I'm not up for it. I don't want it. And for that time, since God was not ready for it, he just played along.
Let you be.
Then now comes a person, and I'm shell-shocked. I'm actually feeling very betrayed and
intruded.
You know, when I say this, people think that, you know, she's kidding. I'm sure maybe she would whisper prayers to God. I never did, not once. I never once asked God
for marriage.
Never once. I'm trying to say that the damage was real. It needed an intervention of God. I wasn't joking. It wasn't a game I was playing. I was okay. I am going to be single. I have this big, happy family. I mean, I don't want for friends. And then now I found Jesus, this intoxicating, amazing, beautiful, loving Jesus. And he wants me to serve him. Game on. What else could anybody possibly need? When I'm not in the mission field, I'm at home with my wonderful family. So when he came, I couldn't wrap my mind around it. And I wept for many days. Many, many days. Because he was very calm, very cool, very collected, very focused. So me, when I'm all over the place, in fact, telling him, I don't even understand how you got courage to come up till here to tell me. Nobody ever does these things. They know not to do this. I don't know, where did you lose your script? Which path did you follow? And he was always very calm. And he only told me, I met you as a woman of prayer. That God you pray, go ask him, because he's the one who sent me. And I'm thinking, you're not even supposed to get to this point. You're supposed, when I do my gimmicks, you're supposed to flee.
To run away.
And leave and go. And since I was not preparing for marriage, I was very rough on the edges. I mean, I knew I'm going to be single. So I was not preparing for anybody in any way. I was fine by myself.
All by yourself.
So he came at the same time when now the call for ministry was heavy in my life. I had a good, well-paying job, but no joy. And it became harder and harder to go to work. So I began asking God, really, if this is what you created me for, there should be fulfillment. There should be joy, and I don't have it. I have a good job, well-paying. And then we had a break because, as I said, I was a trained teacher. So it was holiday. So I was going to the prayer mountain. And the ministry I was in at that particular time organized a mission to Tanzania. And the ministry head said, no, you have to come for the mission. You will go for prayers after that. God orchestrated it. It was in that mission that I met my husband. Now, the funny story is, the last conference Jerry Savelle had in this nation, we attended that conference. I don't know him. He doesn't know me. We met in Tanzania, but our homes are 10 shillings away in Matatu fare. Rongai, Ngoroi. But we had to meet in that mission in Tanzania. The Lord showed my husband me in that conference. We don't know each other from Adam and Eve. He's a young man serving the Lord. He told God at a very young age, when you are ready to bless me with a wife, you will bring her to me the way you brought Eve to Adam. That was the deal he cut with God. In the meantime, I will serve with all my heart. And I will not fool around with girls. I will not. All girls are my sister. Till the day you feel you want me to have a wife. Yes. And he was very gentlemanly, protective. He was always the big brother. But God, when you want me to have a wife, you will make it clear to me. So in that conference, God shows him. You see that girl there down, because he's up in the balcony. It was at the plenary hall. That's going to be your wife. I don't know. God has spoken to somebody. He's up in the balcony. Because of work, I come to the meeting late. And because of where I live a bit early. So there was no time for us to even interact or meet. But he knows what God has told him. And he knows what God... But it's like, how do I even get her? I don't even know her. He's up in the balcony in plenary. I'm down.
Yeah.
We never meet. And guess what? God is so amazing. We are serving in the same ministry, but we've never met. So the ministry head is close to their family, is close to our family. When now we go to the mission, that is where we meet.
In Tanzania.
On the way to Tanzania, because we have to travel. On the way to Tanzania. And we just get talking. Remember, I grew up a tomboy. Me, I know, relating with boys. But all the boys I met, if you are my elder brother's age, I treated you like my elder brother. So I knew that was all it's going to be. And 2 weeks, we are in this mission, 2 weeks. Now he's dealing with shock. Because he's like, this is the woman God showed me.
At the plenary hall.
She's the one. She's the one. Because he was asking God, now, the conference is over. Where am I going to get her from? I don't know who she is. I don't know her name. I don't know anything. Remember the prayer he made? When you're good and ready, you will bring her to me. That is why the ministry head was telling me, you cannot go for any prayers. You will go for prayers after that. Because God had to keep his word and bring me to him. Hey. So that's how it happened. Whoa. Yes. Yes. That's exactly how it happened. But now he's coming to a girl who has no interest, no time. Marriage is a total no-no. It's a no-go zone. So he could watch and he could observe and see, this one, the aerials are not in the basement, they're in the supermarket. She has no clue of my existence beyond a brother in Christ. I can see, she's not faking, she's not aware of any such a thing can happen. So he begins
because to you, he's just a brother.
A good brother who has come to mission, and we were getting along very fine. We were good friends. Very good friends. Talking, laughing, but nothing more
else.
Than nothing.
You didn't even suspect anything?
No, at all. Because if I would suspect, I would now shut down everything and put Mbwakali, Panyambaya, and all those things. Because why would you even have such thoughts? We came to serve God. We came to seek the face of God and serve him and let the Tanzanians know he has a plan for their lives. So he starts talking to God. God, what am I going to do? She's not there. And God told him, I cannot propose to her for you. You have to do your part and talk to her. So on the journey back, you know those days we were going in buses, these long travel buses. So on that bus, because now when we get to Nairobi, that's it. I don't have a mobile phone by then, neither does he. Where are we going to meet? I better now just say my business in this bus. Because when we land, she will take off and I'll take off. So he begins to talk to me, and I'm telling you, I lost it. I could just not believe. I lost it. I told him, we met 2 weeks ago. 2. What do you know about me that you would even want to settle? I talked.
Because he went point blank, he told me.
2 weeks. And he's
because he went and told you, I know you're my wife.
He just told me very calmly, there's definitely something happening. And me, I'm telling you, Mom, I'm so clueless. I'm like, yes, mission is happening. Yes, I am in total agreement. We are serving the Lord, and it is well with our lives.
Are getting born again.
And he told, now the mission is over, we are heading back.
Yes.
So he's like, if I don't do it now, when am I going to do it? And when I got to understand what he's talking about, I was so upset. I was like, people can't just meet in a mission and just be friends and brother and sister in the Lord without it leading anywhere. And he was so calm, and told me, you know what? You really don't have to take my word for it. You don't. That God you pray, Go ask him. And that's how he finished the story. He said, we don't have to fight. It's okay. That God you pray, go and ask him. So coming back, I actually went to the prayer mountain because I wanted God to tell me, am I supposed to continue teaching? Or is it time for me to get into ministry? And God said, it's time to get into ministry. So I told him, okay, there's this gentleman who came to talk to me. And I know...
You are now telling God.
Yes. Because I have to remind him that we had a deal and he's breaking the deal. I had told him the only assignment is make sure no one comes to my life to tell me these things because I belong to you. And I used to always tell God, how many girls are willing to do what I'm doing? Go mission anytime. They don't ask questions. I don't even ask salary. I just go how I am. God, you have very few like me.
You should be very happy.
Be happy.
Yeah.
Why do you want to give me away to anyone? Keep me for yourself. So I started talking to God and I expected God to just tell me, because I didn't want to lie. So I wanted to go and say confidently, the Lord said no. The way I said others who came, the Lord said no. But the Lord did not say anything. He was quiet. So now I don't have a confident no to go and give. And over time, as I continued to pray, the Lord told me, let me teach you what marriage is. And then when I teach you, you will be able to say no, knowing what marriage is, because you don't know what marriage is.
Yeah.
So over the course, we continued missioning. We're in the same ministry, missioning, working. We were such good friends. The only thing I didn't want to hear about was marriage. So over intense time of praying and fasting, because it was really a stronghold. And something funny, when I went to the prayer mountain to pray, God actually sent a couple. I'm trying to say that God can reach you wherever you are. I wasn't faking. I didn't know I'm damaged. I thought I'm fine. Yet it's God's will for me to be married. But I don't want it, and he can't force me. In the prayer mountain, God brings a beautiful couple. I've never met them again after that. That was their only assignment in my life.
What?
And guess what they were doing in the prayer mountain? They met in that prayer mountain, and they came to honor God after their honeymoon in the prayer mountain. They came to honor God and dedicate their marriage. So God told me, talk to that couple and tell them what you've been saying about marriage for years and let them pray for you. I don't know them from Adam and Eve. So I go to them and I tell them, and guess
the
what?
ways of God, eh?
He works in
They are
amazing
not ours.
ways. You know why I'm saying this?
Yeah.
If I didn't make that prayer, if I didn't confess my sin that there may be healing, I probably would not be married today. Because I had confessed it and confessed it and confessed it. And it didn't take long. We just prayed a quiet prayer. Nobody knew what we were doing. They just accepted. They didn't know me. I didn't know them. But they were servants of God. I'm a child of God. We prayed 5 minutes, quiet prayer, and they went their way, and we've never met again. But I believe God orchestrated that so that you can confess and there will be healing. So after that, by the grace of God, God showed me, you don't have a problem with this man. You actually don't have a problem with him. Because I tell you, Mom, we were great friends. Even in the mission, if you wanted to know where I was, look for him. We hit it off like that from the get-go. But the problem was marriage. So God now began to heal me and tell me when I'm talking about marriage in the biblical sense, it is not for a woman to be misused, abused, to be battered, to be afraid. You don't come into it as a second-class citizen. He taught me. He taught me. And one time, 4 or 5 months down the line, I just went to him and told him, yeah, we are on. And it's of God. Yeah. Yeah.
Daughters of Zion, how are you? I'm inviting you for the 28th meeting. It's going to be here at JCC Parklands, right opposite Premier Academy on Forest Road. I want you to know that it's free for every woman. I want you to invite them from the highways and the byways so that they can come and get transformed. There is no daughter of Zion that comes and remains the same again. You're welcome to come join us. Join the champions.
As you praise God today, watch him fight your battles up.
He is looking for leadership that will not exchange perks for presents.
People expect you to give up, but something keeps moving. Telling you, there's more.
Oh,